Hey everybody, before I start this video, I'm going to give a disclaimer. You're definitely going to be hearing profanity in the background with this video. The reason why is, as you can see, I'm at my local dive bar. The scheduled person has not shown up yet. In fact, I got in by a different method because the doors were still locked. So there's no one here. The person that is here is not the bartender, so you're going to hear profanity in the background. I'm just going to put that out right now, but that's what happens when you're out in the real world working, is you're going to hear things that you may not agree with. You may hear things that are offensive to your precious little ears. That's called living in the real world, and that's where I do my work. So just putting the disclaimer out there, so if you start to hear a lot of F-bombs, you know why. So, hey everybody, before we go any further in this video, please give me a like, give me a subscribe, comment, and share. So, today we're going to talk about, Eldridge Cleaver. He made the statement, which still holds today, which is, you're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. And I want to talk about solutions. Everybody's talking about Mark Wade. And let's be honest here, with Mark Wade's conduct and the things that he's stated, he's part of the problem. He wants to be part of the problem. But we're not going to discuss that. I'll discuss that tomorrow. Today I want to discuss solutions, because solutions are much more beneficial. Solutions are what make you a better person. They are uplifting, and they make you hopeful for better things to come, and that's what we're going to discuss about. Mark Millar, he's been presenting solutions. He wants solutions in the comic book industry. If you look at last week's video, you will see that I was addressing how he wants solutions, and I was giving you my opinions on how he can provide solutions. Remember, I said how he has the ability to become a tentpole in this industry with creating his own shared universe, because I do think that's what a strong tentpole is, or what we've been accustomed to in the American comic book market, is shared universes. That's the reason why with Marvel and DC, with them not doing so well, is because their tentpoles are falling. And so we need a new tentpoles, so that way you like this book, but they introduce new characters and they spin them off in their own book. Now you're buying two books, that sort of thing. I think tentpoles are important. Mark Millar has definitely stated and when I agree with him completely, if you can take notice with a lot of my videos discuss this, is Mark Millar does acknowledge that what we need to have a strong industry is we need strong artwork. So with strong artwork comes strong sales. Because the writers, they're going after the movie deals and the TV deals, thinking that's where the big money is, not acknowledging the fact that they can create strong livings for themselves by just focusing on a good comic book story. And along with that comes a strong artwork, because as the saying goes, you might be able to have a good story, but if the artwork's atrocious, no one's going to care. And I heard that echoed with Mark Millar, and then we got an early Christmas present, or our Christmas present of the year. Rob Liefeld did an interview with Billy Tucci on his Pop XP show. Okay? And oh my God, it was so good. I mean, you have Billy's energy along with Rob's energy, and it just makes for such a great show. Now, Rob is a polarizing individual. He's always been a polarizing individual. You really look at it. I'll freely admit that I became, early on when I was a kid, I became a Rob hater. When he first came on the scene, I was a big Rob fan, but it quickly faded and I became a Rob hater. The thing is, though, is looking back on it, and I'd still be a Rob hater if I hadn't gone and inked one of his pages. I took, oh God, this had to be back in like 2005. No, I'd say about 2010. I took an issue of Infinity. Robert Kirkman wrote it. Rob Liefeld did the inks for it, did the story for it. And I took an issue, I took a page from the book, scanned it into my computer, and then I would just use my mouse, I erased all the color lines. I then went to a printer, had it printed on Bristol, and then I inked it. And I actually had them printed off on like Blue Line, and I had them ink it. And then I stippled it after they printed off in Blue Line. And in stippling it, I discovered, holy fucking shit, his stuff is so fucking cool. I know, I had so much fun inking it and seeing. That's when I truly understood the how infectious his work is, because I had so much fun inking it and I could see how cool and dynamic it was. So I've become a Rob Liefeld fan from that. So even so, like I remember this last year when he did Airborne, and it was part of a flip book because he had what was it? Brigade, the first issue of Brigade redone with new art from a bunch of artists, doing each artist doing a single page. And there were pages that I thought were like, oh, this is 10 times better than the original book. And then there's other pages where it's like, I like the original better than the reprint, than the rework. But again, when I went to get it, and I was like, oh wow, the employees at the store, at my local comic book store, were like, yeah, okay. So it's like, I can understand how I used to be like that. Now I'm a big Rob Liefeld fan now, and I do. I look at his stuff, and while I may make fun of it, along with everybody else, I look at it and I look at how like the energy in it and how it's one of those where it's like, okay, imagine if I was to stipple the fuck out of this, how much fun it would be and how cool it would look. So, but no, having him getting on Billy Tucci's channel was a great thing. Like I said, I looked at it and it was like it was our Christmas present. It was Billy Tucci's present to all of his fans, was having that interview. And thank you very much, Billy. Thank you very much, Niles, for having Rob on your show. I really enjoyed it. I think I watched it live, and then after I watched it live, I think like yesterday, I rewatched it, and then this morning as I was going about my day, I rewatched it again. And there's so much you can learn from that interview. And like I said, the big thing about it, because remember, this is about solutions, okay? Rob was presenting solutions with that interview, okay? He was very polite in how he addressed the situation of the comic book industry, how he was addressing the issue with Marvel and DC and the publishing and the creative talents we have out there now. And he was very polite in how he presented it. He was offering solutions. Okay, I really liked how he was talking about how if you are an artist going to Marvel or DC, and I do agree with him that I think and I think the problem is the editors don't understand this shit because they aren't fans. Any artist coming in, very first thing you need to do is have a talk to him about Jack Kirby, and look past the anatomy, look past the squigglies in the elbows, as Rob put it. Look at the page composition, look at the dynamic action in the pages. And that's what you need more of these artists to be embracing. As he put it, it's the fundamentals. There are fundamentals in comics. And I don't think these current writers, I don't think these current pencilers, I don't think these current editors understand the fundamentals of comics. You do need to, and I do understand it, because I'm not a Jack Kirby fan. I'll be the first to say that. I'm not a Jack Kirby fan. But I do understand exactly what he's saying when he talks about the fundamentals and how there are other artists like John Byrne. I will look at the bones of what I'm not looking at the intricate details of what he's doing. I may not look at the story, but I'm starting to really pay more attention to how he did the page layouts and how he did the angles, how he might do it like a Dutch angle, or how he might do an establishing shot, and look at that and where do I need to get better doing that so I have the same type of impact. So just as much as Rob was saying, how the goalposts have moved, and how you have artists who they're weekend warriors, where they're going to convention after convention after convention selling prints, and how I look at that and how if I understand why when the few shows I've gone to I haven't done that great, because I have a very small body of work. You saw the last one I did, this last Star Wars kind of splash page, and how I'm doing this one. Okay, this is all the Star Wars characters, or a group of Star Wars characters that were in Marvel Comics between New Hope and Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back. So I'm just doing, if I really want to be a weekend warrior at these cons, I need to have 10, 20 different prints for people to choose from. You need to provide variety and not just one or two to be successful. So, but again, I look at how Rob talks about the fundamentals and how he learned so much, because Jim Valentino was here, look at his work, look at how he does this stuff, and advised him, and how Rob studied Kirby and whatnot. So, and you took in the interview how he's getting so excited and he wants to talk about Kirby, and he stops and he just pulls off of his bookshelf, because it was when they got in the debate about Kirby versus Stan Lee, and that interview with Kirby, and when he was a bitter old man, and he pulled off all these DC omnibuses of Kirby's work. And he's look at this, look at this, look at this. And just and you're the energy in his voice and the enthusiasm. You look at that and you're he is still a true comic book fan. And he still, just by how he presents his information, how he presents his argument. And he wasn't really presenting an argument, he was expressing his feelings. And again, I was looking at it going, how it's look at how he himself is, how he's saying this without actually saying this, is where we need work in the industry right now is the artwork. The artwork needs to be improved. I do solely agree that there's a lot of books that everybody's oh, that's a really good book, you should be picking it up, and I'm I'll go to the store, I'll pick it up, and I'm I can't stand this artwork. This is really bad artwork. I have no respect for this artwork. So, I do see that in where they say it without saying it, where one of the problems we have in our industry, I think, is the artwork is failing. And I do hold, and again, I don't look at the artist per se as the problem if they're not being given the proper guidance to become better. If they can't accept criticism to become better, then move on to a different artist. Move on to a different artist who will accept the criticism and become better. So, because I've seen it in my own life when I was working in the retail world. There were people that would not accept criticism, and it reached the point where it's like, look, we can't have you here anymore because you're not meeting the goals that we set forth because you don't want to improve. You're just coming in for a paycheck, but you're not benefiting us as a business. And that's one thing you have to understand, is that when you are working for a business, okay, whether you're working in the comic book industry or working at Wendy's, okay, it's about producing the best product or service that you can provide that benefits the company. If you can't do it, then the company has to evaluate whether you are to continue to work for that company. It's not the company's obligation to employ you. It's the company's obligation to employ the best people possible for them to make a profit. Okay, there's a case, a court case. Raw and Lumber is addressing this. I think it was last night. They're talking about this woman. Yeah, there was a case. This woman here in Chipotle, and here she. No, it wasn't. It wasn't Raw and Lumber. It was on Laid Back News. And here, this woman here, she was physically abusive to a Chipotle employee. And they're like, what should her fine be? And it's one of those like, I agree. No, you don't want to her fine shouldn't be to work at Chipotle. That's not going to solve your solution. Because she's just going to make things worse and make that environment more toxic. So I don't agree. And that's where again, if you're working if you're not producing quality product for Marvel and DC, it's not Marvel and DC's job to continue to employ them. That's the reason why it kills me when you get these artists, and I'll touch on this more tomorrow, but when you get these artists that are like calling shots of people that want to present solutions, and these people are not being employed by these companies anymore. So my response is, you aren't being employed by these companies, so why are you attacking an individual who wants to find a solution to make these companies better? Okay? If you're not providing a solution, then you're part of the problem. And that's one of the reasons why I always am focusing on what's good. I do my best to try to present what's best. So you think about how, like, when I did my Tim Sheridan video, and I was coming down about him, and how, like, please sir, I want some more work, DC. I know my stuff is shit. And how it all came about because of his Alan Scott comic. Well, the thing is, though, here's an example of telling an Alan Scott story that was highly successful. And that was Alan Moore's Top 10. Okay? He presented a great mini-series addressing certain issues, but he entertained you. He brought those issues up within the storytelling. The biggest example being the cyborg dog Chemo and the hooker. and how at the towards the end of the series, he revealed that they were now in a sexual relationship. But because he built up the relationship between Chemo and the girl so much leading up to that, when they finally reveal that they're going to have sex, you're not looking at going, ew, bestiality, ah. You're looking and going, wow, this relationship makes sense. This relationship works for the story. So you think about the Alan Scott comic and how you're not getting me invested in Alan Scott as a character. You're not making me invested in his journey. You're just throwing it in my face so that way. And that's where you get into that self-insert stuff. And again, getting back to Rob and how he was like, how the fundamentals and the artwork has to be so great, and how like he's still doing artwork now. He's be doing over 160 pages this year, and he's like, holy shit, you know. And I saw someone else make a remark, and I'm like, well, yeah, I could do a monthly book if I didn't have to do backgrounds. Getting a shot in on Rob, because Rob never did a lot of backgrounds. And I looked at it, and my response was, okay, but can you do 4 issues a year? Could you do 5? Because if you could do 5 issues a year, do your own book, contact Marvel and DC, tell them you want to do a 5-issue Incredible Hulk story, and they can either do it as a mini-series or they can do it as a story arc. Just do the 5 issues. I can guarantee you that artist, if they were to do that, I would be buying a Marvel book, or I'd be buying a DC book again, because that artist does really good work, and I like their work a lot. I'm not going to name names. I could be like, oh, it was this artist. No, I mean, if anybody's on Twitter or Facebook, you might know who I'm talking about. But that's the thing, is when it's like some of these creators don't throw shade at the people that are still creating and want to create, and they're willing to work with anybody, and they want solutions for everybody. If you look at it and go, I only want a solution for my select friends, no, don't. Careful what you're saying. Okay, you're saying that that this type of person is beneath you or below you. Please don't. That's not the way things work. Okay, what makes businesses profitable and are able to grow is you don't go after one type of person. And you take a look at how, again, Rob, Mark Miller, they want solutions. They don't care what your political preference is. They just want you to have a good story. And they love this medium. That's why they want to take steps to help make this industry back to what it was. Even though they don't align themselves with Comicsgate, just because they're saying things that you can see on a Comicsgate channel doesn't make them Comicsgate. It makes them common sense. And they want to be part of a solution. We need solutions in this industry right now. Because if we don't have solutions, if we have people that want to cause only problems, here's the thing. Rob has reached the point. He has a following. He could say, F Marvel, F DC, I'm doing my own stuff. I'm going to crowdfund my own stuff. Or actually, I have reached the point that I can produce this without having to crowdfund it. And just go straight to his fans. And cut out the comic book stores. He wants the comic book stores to succeed. Okay? Stop attacking these people that want success for everyone. Because if you wish success upon others, success will come upon you. So, I'm going to stop this video here. I think I've made all of my points. The only other point I'd finally put out there is Rob's enthusiasm. I was listening to it, and I got to tell you, there's some independent creators that I would love for Rob to get a hold of and get in contact with and work with. The one that comes to mind is Von Klaus. Could you imagine Rob Liefeld doing a Von Klaus story with Von Klaus's energy and Rob Liefeld's energy? I think it would set the comic world on fire. Just as how Mark Miller said how he has Narwhal on his radar, and he wants to work with Narwhal. That is so big, and that just shows like these are great guys, and if they could get hooked up with these huge titans of the industry, you're definitely going to, first of all, you're going to see a lot of hate. But the bigger thing that I see is if they were to work with these guys, it's an example of finding solutions, and that's what we need more of. Like I said at the beginning, Eldridge Cleaver said it absolutely best when he said, you're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. And as Rob put it, all comic books is all about is problem solving. Me, I'm going to solve my problems one dot at a time.